I was home working on my bike when I heard loud banging, followed by the unmistakable crack of splintering wood. My front door gave way under the force of HOA thugs screaming, "You're in violation!" Big mistake. They had no clue who they were dealing with or what was about to roar into their little fiefdom. 30 bikers with military backgrounds were on standby, ready to teach them what real discipline and brotherhood meant. After retiring from 25 years as a Marine Corps mechanic, I moved into Oakwood Estates, chasing peace and quiet. I'd served 3 tours in Iraq and 1 in Afghanistan. All I wanted was a garage for my bikes and a porch where I could unwind with a cold beer. The neighborhood looked perfect, great location, fair prices, and mostly respectful neighbors. Sure, the HOA fees were steep at $450 a month, but they promised maintained roads and reliable community security. What they didn't mention was the chokehold control they exerted over every square inch of our homes. My name is David Kincaid, and I've lived by a code my entire adult life. Respect is earned, not demanded. Whether in the Corps or with my motorcycle club, the Iron Guardians, I've always stood my ground when I knew I was in the right. For 3 years, things went smoothly. I kept my Harley spotless, maintained my lawn, and even helped out with community events. The former HOA president, an old Navy vet named Harold Jenkins, was level-headed and respected property rights. Everything changed when a man named Bradley Sloan took over as president. A former corporate security director with political aspirations, he strutted around the neighborhood like a wannabe general. The day after his election, every homeowner received a thick packet of revised community standards. 32 pages dictated everything from the height of mailboxes to the shade of acceptable Christmas lights. Bradley even hired a private security team that patrolled in SUVs marked with temporary magnetic HOA decals. They'd stop and photograph everything: toys in driveways, lawn height, even how long your trash bins were visible. Most neighbors gave in to avoid confrontation. I should have known when Harold sold his house and moved 3 weeks after Bradley took over. "This isn't the community I helped build," he told me. "Watch yourself, David. Bradley doesn't tolerate resistance." The harassment began with petty complaints. Me trash cans were visible for more than 30 minutes, an oil stain from my Harley on the driveway, and my American flag hung inside my garage. Bradley claimed it was non-regulation and clashed with the community's aesthetic. I'd lost friends under that flag. No way in hell was I taking it down because some HOA dictator didn't like how it looked. Then came the fines. First $75, then $150, then $300. Each letter threatened legal action if I didn't comply. I ignored them. They had no legal grounds to enter my property. At the next HOA meeting, I stood up and called Bradley out. That flag stayed up when I was dodging bullets overseas. It stays up now. He gave me a plastic smile. "Rules are rules, Mr. Kincaid, even for veterans." That hit me like a slap, as if being a veteran was some hobby I needed to grow out of. After the meeting, Mrs. Eleanor Briggs, a widow whose husband served in Vietnam, quietly pulled me aside. "They're doing the same to me," she whispered. "They say my memorial garden violates the landscaping policy." I realized then this wasn't just about me. Bradley was targeting anyone who stood out or didn't fall in line. More neighbors started approaching Meth Rodriguez family fined for a basketball hoop. Sarah Morton, a nurse and single mother, cited for her porch light being on during non-approved hours. I began documenting everything. Every letter, every encounter, every violation. That's what the Marines taught mech know your enemy. The day after I installed a camera on my porch, I received a new violation: unauthorized surveillance equipment. It was on my own house. That weekend, my old buddy Glenn from the Iron Guardians came over to help change my Harley's oil. Within an hour, a security SUV parked outside, snapping photos. Glenn walked over. "We haven't even started the bike," he said. The guy just smirked. "We've had noise complaints." That night, a violation appeared: $500 for unauthorized mechanical work. The timestamp? 2 hours before Glenn even arrived. Things escalated. I noticed a black sedan parked across from my home. Same 2 men. Same vehicle. Day after day. I confronted them. HOA security consultants, they said. Yeah, right? Then came the real breach. I was elbow deep in my Harley's engine one Sunday afternoon when the pounding returned not a knock, an assault. Before I could reach the door, it shattered open. Two men in tactical vests, emblazoned with HOA logos, barged in. Bradley and his lead thug, a guy named Cole Tanner, stood behind them. "This is an emergency inspection," Bradley declared, waving some printout. "Section 24B. I looked at my busted door. "You broke into my home. Necessary entry due to repeated non-compliance," Cole replied, resting his hand on what looked like a stun gun. I held my ground. "Get out. Now." Bradley pushed toward my garage. Reports of hazardous materials and structural violations. They started photographing everything: me tools, bikes, and especially the flag hanging above my workbench. "Non-regulation display," Bradley muttered. $750 fine. "That flag flew in Fallujah," I said. "Don't touch it." Cole reached up, yanked it down, and tossed it onto the bench. Something in me snapped. I stepped forward, fists clenched. Bradley slid between us. "He's licensed security," he warned. "Interfering could bring police involvement." They continued their search, knocking over a framed photo of my unit. The glass shattered. "You'll be billed for cleanup," Bradley said casually. He handed me a final notice. $4,500 in accumulated fines. "Pay in 72 hours, or we place a lien on your home." They walked out like they owned the place. As soon as they left, I called Glenn. "Get the brothers. Now." Within an hour, 5 Iron Guardians were in my living room. They saw the door, the damage, the toss flag. Their faces darkened. "This is criminal trespass," said Miguel, a former military police officer, "and possibly impersonation of law enforcement." Glenn, a former JAG attorney, was already reviewing the inspection document. Section 24B only allows exterior inspections with 48-hour written notice. Nothing here authorizes forced entry. Rodriguez, our road captain and a former SWAT member, pulled security footage from my cameras. Got them red-handed. This wasn't just my battle anymore. Wilson, our oldest member at 72, leaned in. "If they're doing this to you, imagine what they're doing to those who can't fight back." We launched an operation. Glenn began legal filings. Miguel and Rodriguez filed police reports. Wilson quietly gathered testimonies from other residents. The community had been suffering in silence, and now it had a voice. Bradley and his cronies had collected over $87,000 in fines in under a year. Less than $9,000 had gone to actual improvements. The rest? Payments to companies tied to Bradley's brother-in-law. Shell companies with vague names like Slate Ridge Security and Apex Community Consultants. Worse, we discovered Bradley was running for city council, touting his community leadership as a credential. He was building a political empire on intimidation and fraud. We gathered dozens of testimonies. An 83-year-old woman fined for a rose garden planted in her late husband's memory. A father threatened with zoning violations unless he removed a swing set for his autistic son. Sarah Morton's daughter, traumatized by strange men rifling through their garage. We compiled everything: photos, videos, bank records, notices, correspondence. Glenn filed a comprehensive complaint with the district attorney's office. Simultaneously, we planned a confrontation at the next HOA meeting. The Saturday meeting arrived. 27 motorcycles pulled into the clubhouse lot, flags flying, boots heavy on pavement. We weren't there to intimidate. We were there to stand with our neighbors. Bradley looked like he'd seen a ghost. His security team faded into the background. "This is a closed meeting," Bradley stammered. "We're all guests of homeowners," Glenn said. "Permitted under Article 3, Section 2. One by one, we shared our evidence. I showed footage of the illegal entry. Mrs. Briggs shared her story. Sarah Morton, in scrubs, described her daughter's fear. Mr. Rodriguez showed a photo of his son with their confiscated basketball hoop. The final blow came when Glenn projected the HOA financials, followed by property records showing foreclosed homes sold to Bradley's shell companies. The room erupted. Homeowners were furious. The meeting ended in a vote. Bradley and his team were suspended. A new oversight committee was formed. Bradley resigned days later, under pressure from a formal criminal investigation. Cole was arrested on an outstanding warrant. The community, once divided and silenced, rallied together. Mrs. Briggs' garden was replanted by neighbors. New flags waved proudly outside homes. My flag, once targeted, was hoisted in the center of Oakwood Estates as a symbol of unity and resistance. They thought they could smash down one door. What they broke was the silence of an entire community. And they learned the hard way that some of us never stopped serving.